Hi, I'm Angified. I started Angified Presents.
We share the love of music.
It has been medicine and therapy. Nothing else worked.
It has saved many of us. With mental health, we need to open our eyes.
Hurt people hurt people.
We ask that you listen, comprehend, and relate with your ears.
Form that heart of unity and one.
We share on this stage.
Statistics, feelings,
And ourselves.
we stand with the belief to be you, to be heard, and to be original.
We all may be different, with opinions and beliefs.
At the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters.
We are family.
We ask that you join us in a magical journey with artists from around the world. Open your minds, let in the love,
and listen with your hearts.
We all want a better tomorrow. Be one.
Communicate and look out for one another. And then, and only then, will you find the world.
We will find peace in all the world.
You'll find the world. And you will find in this giant world heroes among us, and every boy and girl. Many have been broken, red hearts turn black. Love will melt the ice and turn it back, and you will find the world. You will find the world. You will find the world. And when you find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a whole new world, a better place for our children's futures at stake. And you'll find, with music in your soul, laughter in your hearts, together we can grow a better place, with love in us all. And you will find, together we can save it all. And you will find, and you will find a place called home, where
Rawr.
We cover digital audio workstations and music tools. We explore theory, gear at 82. How to arrange, compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much rev. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking IT. We're talking IT. Every Thursday night on Angified.
Oh, every time I hear that song, my brain grows 3 times bigger.
And it happens just like that. Snap
I
of a
gotta
finger.
catch up to your head.
Oh, it's pretty big.
If I lean in.
And I got the winter beard started over here.
Oh yeah,
we got the
you
snow
are
coming in,
sporty.
so get that whole thing happening.
I've been working on this for multiple winters.
Yep, and it shows. The Gandalf style.
Well, it keeps the chin warm.
Yeah, true. At this point, it's it's just barely a thinking beard. Like I can just barely get this going here. But
Well, you're gonna want to stay warm this weekend because there's a cold front coming across the middle that's gonna affect a lot of people this weekend.
Looks like a couple feet of snow, or over a foot of snow at least over here in the New York area, and I'm assuming it's going to be a lot worse up by you, like bitter cold.
No, surprisingly, like where I am is just off the edge of it. Like it's
So
going
like that high pressure is keeping you out of it.
Yeah, southern New England's gonna get nailed, but knock on wood, I'm actually in the right spot.
Nice. Yeah. So we're battening down the hatches. So tomorrow, go to the store and see that the shelves are all empty, all that kind of fun stuff. That kind of thing.
Stay off the roads over the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to start Saturday night, so I think I'm fine for tomorrow. But
yeah, I'm stocked up till next week. So
nice. So you're all good.
Yeah.
And we got plenty of AI news and stuff to go over between now and then.
Well, actually, there's a little mix. The AI is getting its claws into everything. So, to continue with that AI tool or takeover theme that we're going to do this year, there's a few different things we're going to look at. To the IT cave we go.
Nice. Miss Crystal. There you go.
Yeah, it's been a while, since we checked in on her. And last week, kind of some big news that came out. A distributor who is finally like putting their foot down and saying, we're going to do something about this whole AI situation, even if the industry itself is still making deals. We keep hearing about these like Suno and Udio lawsuits and deals and settlements. Well, Bandcamp took some initiative and said, no more AI on our platform. And I'm really curious as to Crystal's interpretation of what does that mean? How are they gonna enforce this? What's the approach they're gonna take? This is kind of new territory. for a distributor to actually like declare.
To put their foot down and be the first, really. Yeah.
Somebody had to,
Mhm.
and I honestly wasn't expecting like DistroKid or TuneCore to actually like stick their heads out there and see if they get chopped off first.
Right.
Bandcamp's an interesting one because they're a smaller player in that game, but at the same time they're a very popular choice with a lot of people.
Right. And again, they're not saying, AI shouldn't be in music. They're not saying pass laws against it. Like this is basically sounding like just on our platform. No. And that's fine. There are places that you can go to do AI music. They're saying
E-
not here.
Exactly. And me and Jason have had discussions about that and like
Mhm.
why are people taking their AI songs and posting them over on BandLab where you should be looking for collaborators
Right.
and even Spotify putting it on a music platform where you can't monetize it, but the purpose of going to that platform is to monetize your music. Why not just publish those where the AI engines?
Mhm.
Suno lets you publish songs on your Suno account over on their website,
Mhm.
and everybody knows that they're dealing with AI generated music over there.
Exactly. And that's the thing is knowing what's there is important because it's the people feel deceived if it's, something that they thought was real musicians and it turns out to be AI, they feel duped.
Yeah, and a lot of the complaints from people are not so much that they dislike the AI, they dislike the approach. They feel like they're being deceived. There isn't transparency with a lot of those band labbers who are posting AI tracks and not even mentioning that AI was part of the song making.
Right. And that's the problem that, I could see people having with it for sure.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with what some people do with AI. I
Mhm.
just don't like when they don't fully disclose. Just like I want to know what DAW are you using? What kind
Mhm.
of guitar is that?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
all the details matter when you really care about your music.
And I mean, even if a song that you come up with and you decide you're going to release and all that, if it started from, the song starter in BandLab or something where there was just
Mhm.
something gave you a nugget of an idea, you know, if you say that that's how it started, that's fine. I mean, it's not that you can't use that in your song, and it's not that that makes it all of a sudden an AI song that can't be used or monetized. It just means that, most people would want to know about that. That's all.
And it's okay to be influenced to do a song from different directions,
Mhm.
whether it's a song starter or I want to sound like Jimi Hendrix.
Exactly. Starting with a style or an artist in mind. Yeah.
Embracing like your influences or where your ideas come from and not acting like, oh, it's bad that I got my ideas
Mhm.
from an AI song idea, but I took it and turned it into my own song.
Mhm.
No, people will appreciate that if you can translate that into something that is your own, that
That's a
that
value add. Yeah.
that instigates your creativity in one way or another.
Exactly. The song was the inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's going to be one in here that's going to have an interesting song starting approach. We'll get to that.
Alrighty.
But after we find out, about this AI distributing development, there's a couple channels I got in here this week that come from like my new passions on my YouTube. I've been
Mhm.
hitting up different types of channels, and I've been going through a time travel phase,
Mhm.
not just like movies about it, but the theoretical aspects of is it even possible? My scientifical brain wants to like see where have we gone with the possibility of time travel
Mhm.
and understanding time. And Julia McCoy, oh, I found this channel last week and I'm just like eating up like her videos.
Mhm.
In this particular one, she actually is using AI to do this video and she's straightforward. She says, like, this is AI Julia covering for Julia and tonight's topic. What she talks about here is how scientists have come up with a way to sort of reverse engineer time so that through code, they're using AI and coding techniques to kind of reverse engineer the timeline. It's an interesting concept. Something that I've felt like scientists are getting to that point where they could almost turn back the liquid and see where it started from if they can reverse engineer the exact pattern that we've gone through. And this is some theoretical physics that I was like, oh, this would be cool.
Oh yeah, physics is my jam. So yeah, love it.
Yeah. And this channel, awesome theories and ideas coming out of it.
Nice.
And the other channel that I came across, Silicon Siren, uh, this girl appreciates retro gear like after my own heart. I think she's a collector of like classic machines because a lot of her videos there, she looks at like an E machine that was never opened from 1995 and talks about the Amiga. And there's one on Quantum Link, which was my online service before CompuServe, before
Nice.
AOL. If you had a Commodore 64, Quantum Link was the internet before there was an internet. And I picked this one because she's starting this new series where she's kind of doing a documentary on computers in movies that really played an important part in the movies. And unless you were like me, if you were the geek who's like, I know that computer, I have that computer, most people wouldn't recognize the computers in the old movies. But me, it was like a passion of mine to like, what are they using there? It looks so futuristic.
Yeah. And the fact that, we've both gone through a lot of upgrades over the years. So like, if you had every machine that you ever had over the years, you would have like a warehouse of machines behind you, right? I mean, you already do have a warehouse of machines behind you, but like you would have an even bigger warehouse of machines behind you if you had every machine ever. I have pretty much every machine I've ever had since college. Because they're all just, as I would upgrade, I would just kind of put it off to the side and keep it so that if there's a problem with the new machine, I can always go, throw the old machine back in and go from there.
Yeah, I did have most of my old machines when I lived in Connecticut. I had a room, big enough space that I never threw old computers or old music equipment. I kept it all.
Yep.
When we moved, I really had to like simplify most of that room and most of those 90s and 2000 machines that I was just keeping for nostalgia.
Exactly.
Ended up going out, but she's actually hunting for these machines nowadays. She's a trooper.
Nice. That's more like the way my buddy Mike goes with video games. Like he goes and finds like old, Nintendo cartridges and Ataris and things like that. Like he's actively hunting down the things that are missing from the collection.
I'd really like to get some old arcade cabinets, like full blown, and then modify them with these emulators.
Oh yeah, well that's where that X Arcade. We'll have a night where we look at that X Arcade cabinet stick as well, because that dual setup looks just like the front of an arcade cabinet. So that's the way to go.
If I had the extra money, I'd get the 4. They got the 4 one now. $600. It's not that much.
Play X-Men and what else? Gauntlet. I mean,
Gauntlet.
What else you playing? 4-player, right?
Gauntlet is the numero uno reason.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're gonna go do a little movie history, look at some of the machines there, and part of the reason I'm in this mentality is we just finished a movie and we're starting to roll out the previews for it, the trailers for it. We're going to see one of our trailers and one of the previews throughout the episode tonight. And all this movie stuff has got me like, in the movie thinking mode. The next video, in the old days, most people wouldn't need to know these camera terms and like what is a dolly zoom and
sure.
But nowadays a lot of people are utilizing AI to build images and make video prompts for the animation. Knowing these actual terms and knowing these camera techniques is no longer just for the camera guy. The people who want a prompt need to know how to tell their AI they want this particular zoom.
Yeah, aspect ratio, the certain kind of lighting. I mean, all those kinds of things can all be, built into your prompt, but you need to know what you're asking for. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that I needed to bone up on this because as we were working on this film, Maha was helping me to put together a couple of scenes. And, I finally getting my feet wet with playing around with the AI and getting some results, but not necessarily getting the camera angles that I want. And when you're dealing with film, angles is everything. So he took some of what I was doing and refined the prompt, focused on some of the actual camera instructions, and I was like, wow, made a total difference in the
Absolutely.
final results.
Yeah, yeah. It's more of the director role essentially, right? As
Yeah.
far as figuring out exactly how each shot, the mechanics of how to make everything work.
It's like the director being able to tell the cameraman, I need you to get on that dolly and I need you to zoom in.
Nice.
So Dom, the AI tutor, is actually going to cover the 38 different camera angles that when it comes to prompting, or if you're actually shooting the movie, you want to be familiar with these.
Yep. And now when you're watching movies in the future, you'll start noticing, dolly zoom, like you just pick them out like as they happen.
Yeah, the more you understand them, you'll understand their importance in scene transitions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And got to bring a little gear into the conversation. And I love the Surface controllers, and I've looked at. I really would love one that has all the channels. Like if I'm dealing with a 16 channel mixer in my DAW, I want 16 channels. But then I looked at this one, and the fact that it's coming from Yamaha really piqued my interest here. It's minimalistic. It's straightforward, and it has the potential of not only helping to deal with some of the channel control that you would want to do, but it can also be a stream deck looking at, like, if those buttons are programmable up at top. Mix a stream deck into my Surface controller, and I'm killing two birds with one stone.
Nice. Gotta love the hardware.
Yeah, the only other question I'm going to have is the price, but given its minimalistic approach, I could probably get 2 or 3 of these and be happy.
Nice. Yeah, little scrub wheel there and everything.
Yeah, yeah, and these little knobs, they can rotate too. So like some of those are multifunctional.
Nice.
And then to finish things off, over the last couple weeks, we looked at Band in the Box. We've talked about GarageBand and how some of these like AI approaches, they have personalities, and like being able to bring a band member into your music making process with that Fender studio that we saw last week.
Right.
They're incorporating some of this approach, and Melodyne, the company behind one of my favorite MIDI transcribers, has this new product, Tonalic, and they say it's not truly MIDI and it's not audio. It's not necessarily AI. I'm curious, what the hell is it that
Yeah.
because how is it gonna accomplish, like, I understand why it has to be MIDI if we're gonna transpose, and we're not playing in C, we're gonna play in A. MIDI makes it convenient to do that, but you can transpose with audio as well. And what I'm curious is how they bring the personalities in. These personalities that they're going to talk about in here, they're famous musicians. So it's like I'm getting a famous musician in a box.
Nice. Yeah, you get their style, or something about their style is going to be come across in the music.
Yeah, and maybe influence you in the kind of song that you end up writing.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So let's start with this news coming from Miss Crystal. And actually, if you check in the description, I've got links to both her top music attorney, because that's where we found her. And when it comes to music law, she gives it straightforward. She's on the scene. She knows what's going on there. She's given us more information about the battle between AI and artists than any other channel on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And I included her. She does have her music YouTube channel, which I started checking out in the last couple of months. And I'm like, damn, I like this song. I like this song. I like it. And she's been on a roll. Like, she challenged herself to like do a song every day.
Nice.
So I would suggest you also check out her YouTube channel there, and take a listen to her music. She's got some jams.
Nice. Very cool.
But here we're getting it from at Top Music Attorney. She also plays a lawyer on TV, and this particular one last week was making a lot of news out there for those who really want to see a solution to how AI is being dealt with across these platforms. And none of the AI platforms or the music platforms have really done any clear details of how they're going to deal with things. Bandcamp did.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Let's see what we got.
And Bandcamp is a good one, I think, because it is like a hybrid. It's a little bit like BandLab, and it is a little bit like Spotify. They do kind of walk both sides there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They don't have the collaboration features that BandLab does, but there are a lot of people who do find collabors and fellow musicians on Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
Got to switch to our brand.
Oh,
we're on Angify's brand.
That's right.
All right. Let's see what Miss Crystal has to say about Bandcamp.
AI music just got banned by this music distributor. It's the first of its kind. And guys, here's the thing that I'm seeing. I'm seeing that in the music business, that businesses are starting to take sides. And there was this huge hesitation for a while. And then you saw big boys like Deezer come out and to say, well, we're not going to stop you from putting your AI songs on our music distribution platform, but we're not going to pay you. We're going to make sure that human authors are protected. They get their royalties, all that good stuff. And so we've kind of been tracking what each of the different music platforms has done, but this is the first music distributor that has banned AI generated music. And that is Bandcamp. Now, you guys know we talk about Bandcamp. We kind of love Bandcamp here because of the sell before you stream method. It's important if you are an independent music creator in getting your music to your fans and having an opportunity to actually make money from your music. We very much promote, right? Sell it on your website. If you don't have a website, you don't want to do it that way, Bandcamp is a great place to go to do that, where you can set the base rate that you want to sell your music at, all that stuff. Bandcamp just recently came out and said, look, the bottom line is that we don't stand for it. So let's go through this. Bandcamp keeps providing users with even more reasons to love its platform. The latest move came in an announcement on Tuesday with Bandcamp support, announcing that the company stands on AI. Bandcamp has officially banned the upload of AI-generated audio and music to its platform. Now, quick pause. The first thing that came to mind when I saw that, right, besides the fact that they're dealing with music, guys, I go, well, I'm not seeing anything about other AI-generated stuff. So meaning about AI art, videos. And this is a question that came up with some of our clients that have music platforms where it's like sync licensing or music distribution or whatever. And so when we were working on their terms of service and discussing how this is going to work, one of the questions that came up is like, well, if you're going to have a stance on AI music, what about other AI stuff? So keep that in mind. All right, quote, "We believe the human connection found through music is a vital part of our society and culture, and that music is much more than a product to be consumed," said Bandcamp. Now, as far as Bandcamp just being like, this is about culture, this is a mission statement, we really want to protect human created music, I believe them. Here's why. It doesn't make sense for their bottom line Meaning it doesn't make sense from a financial standpoint for them to do this. They're cutting off a whole side of the market and users that could be paying and putting their stuff on the platform and all that. So at the end of the day, what we are seeing with some of the businesses, they're all like, no, we're going to get with AI because that's where technology is going. But the truth of the matter is with, for example, all these big settlements that we're seeing with AI companies, it's that ultimately there is a money-making opportunity for, let's say, major record labels. In my opinion, I think that's why we see the movement and the trend that's happening. So this is very interesting. Bandcamp's guideline for generative AI in music and audio aim to instill confidence in fans that the music they find on Bandcamp was created by humans. Music that is generated wholly or in substantial part by AI is not permitted on the platform. Again, a question that might be coming to your mind is, well, how do you define that? Because again, I can tell you backdoor stuff that these companies will pay for AI detection tools, which is how they know. That's how music distributors are catching this stuff if they have certain policies around it. So they're using some kind of AI detection software, but what if you used AI for your mixing? What if you used it for the mastering side? Because they do say wholly, so totally or substantially, most of it. Again, back to the, well, what if it was just mastered with AI, right? So that's where this isn't super clear and where there's, of course, going to be gray area. Meanwhile, any use of AI tools to impersonate, all right, different issue, to impersonate other artists or styles is strictly prohibited, quote, in accordance with our existing policies prohibiting impersonation and intellectual property infringement. I actually had another YouTuber reach out to me last night and was asking about this and sent me a video, right? So using AI, creating some storytelling and creating a song and a visual, right? And using a famous person as one of the characters. And so, in the conversation, I'm like, this is so multi-layered and complicated because obviously when you are impersonating someone else for whatever reason, there are exceptions under the law for certain things, but obviously like the standard thing is if you're gonna pretend to be Britney Spears and have your Britney Spears AI persona and whatever, the immediate issue is, well, did she approve that? Assuming that she didn't, you may be violating her publicity rights and that she controls her face. She should be able to know what she's being used and associated with if it's music. But there are things and ways that you can use stuff, right? We talk about with like copyrights and trademarks and when you're doing parodies, when you're doing fair use. So it gets even more complicated when you are now involving AI. Oh yeah, this is what Bandcamp says. They said, please tattle. If you happen to run across something that is made with AI, use our flagging system, right? So that we can then review the stuff. Okay, so look, on the intent from, Bandcamp, in trying to protect human created music and really cultivating like music as culture, not just a product. I think that's one of the distinctions that we can at least agree on, and just to be like, well, with Spotify has just allowed the flooding. There's very little to stopping it unless Spotify decides to take some kind of position. But in any case, because Spotify seems to be just really focused on it's a product. They want to make more money for their shareholders. Like, they're in the business of business versus some of these companies like Bandcamp, like Deezer, that are trying to do something. And I think one of the things we talked about was like, why can't there be just separate platforms? It's not necessarily being like anti-AI, it's maybe anti-fusion of these things where there's now consumer confusion issues. It's not just about the human-made music and protecting creatives. What Bandcamp's trying to accomplish here, they go, we don't want consumer confusion. We want also our users to tattle when they see AI. Fans are already celebrating the move in other social sites, with one fan writing, Bandcamp continues to be the best place to post your music. Absolutely thrilled to hear this, wrote another. Y'all are my favorite way to support artists I love. I'm happy you'll continue to be a place that offers a space unlike other music platforms. Back to my original question. What about AI art? What about videos? Is that a problem? Is that maybe unintentionally encompassed in this? And then also, do we like this, right? So compared to Spotify, compared to YouTube, compared to, of course, now that there are AI platforms that are being designated as this is an only, let's say, AI video platform, and that's what this is gonna be. So really, again, is the solution just that there are separate streams of different types of content, and that way everyone can coexist and do what they want to do and not pretend that the technology is not here and that people enjoy or don't enjoy using it. But what I am seeing is that for artists, it does seem that this is being perceived as a safe harbor. This is a safe harbor platform. It's a way to signal trust for the fans, for people who do care very much, whether something in some, cases is made with AI. They don't want to feel like they're being tricked. They want it to be clear. And then on the flip side, does this mean AI is dead? Does it mean that there isn't a place for AI prompters and AI music? Well, that's not the case. And we see now, really back to my main point, which is we see now businesses are starting to take a position, whatever that position is. BMI, as you guys know, which represents millions of artists here in the United States, came out in support of our class action lawsuits that we filed on behalf of independent music creators, which is amazing. They have linked to our plaintiff sign up form on their website, and we're in discussions with other big organizations just like BMI, because even in this big transition that we are in, it still doesn't make it right when AI companies come and steal tens of millions of songs from music creators. So we're fighting the good fight. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. I'm top music attorney, Miss Crystal.
Oh, she gets my brain fired up.
Oh yeah.
I have so many of the same questions when it comes to like going from generating music, making images, album art, videos. Musicians are definitely gonna be doing that because they don't always have like a big budget and a camera crew to go film a music video. Of course, they're going to utilize this technology to some extent.
Yeah. And again, is it all accidentally encompassed where they're trying to keep the AI music out, but are they accidentally keeping out all this, real music that was made by real people that happens to have AI stuff associated with it?
Yeah, and I do understand Bandcamp's mentality here, and especially being first out the gate to say, here's a safe platform where you're going to get human-driven content, and that's what you can expect here. That might give them like an edge for the moment here, where artists who really don't want to even play in those hybrid platforms where it's AI and humans and nobody knows what, they'll gladly go to a dedicated platform where there's some assurance that there's no AI shenanigans.
And as you said, like with them being first, you get that first mover status where, a lot of people, if they are that against the AI in general, they may flock to it for that reason.
Well, and for me, the biggest question when I heard the news was, how are they going to enforce it? And she brought it up. There are, and we've looked at a couple of them. Me and Jason have actually gone down a couple of rabbit holes there. They're interesting, but there's a lot of potential for false flags. So what's going to happen when they're depending on AI to detect AI, and the artist says, no way, I didn't use any AI in this, or like she said, for mastering is not the same. And a lot of people are not arguing about using AI for mixing and mastering like they are for songwriting.
Some might not even realize that that is AI. They just, see, oh, well, look, there's a mastering button. Good, I'll hit that. They don't realize that they're engaging AI in that way.
Yeah. Nowadays, if you do something like use auto tune, it might be AI driven auto tune in order to get that perfect pitch. How the gray areas in this, Bandcamp does have a challenge ahead of them, being the ones who are trying to do this first. They're going to have to make some decisions on how hard they're going to go after it, how much they're going to enforce it, and what do they actually consider like strictly prohibited. Impersonating somebody, that should be obvious. Like,
well, that makes sense, right? But it makes sense to also, specify it separately because, as they were saying, there are cases where you can impersonate someone else, fair use and parody and things like that. But, there are exceptions, and there are exceptions for a reason because they are very specific. So it's important to kind of delineate which things are, very much in that lane versus this lane.
Yeah. Yeah. And more importantly than anything, transparency is going to be essential. Like, you cannot lie when you're submitting it. Same thing going on with YouTube. You put a video up on YouTube now, there's a couple of sections you have to answer when it comes to, does this include anything that makes somebody do something that they didn't really do? That's kind of an ambiguous question. I'm going to be faced with that situation when we release this movie, because it's a movie. And yes, there are parts of this movie where people are acting. There's few clips in there where we had to utilize some form of AI to generate a scene that we could not possibly do without the use of it. Are those little 5 seconds, 10 seconds to set up a transition scene gonna kill the whole movie? Because I gotta answer honestly there, because if you do lie to YouTube, it can really bite you in the ass, and it's gonna be the same thing with Bandcamp.
And that's the question. Is it just going to be, does it just flag the content as saying, hey, this was, generated using some AI content, or does it ban the content? That's the question too.
Yeah. How strict they do it could be the difference between well implemented or poorly implemented. I like Bandcamp. I really wouldn't want to see them screw this up.
But it is it's an important conversation to have, and it's important that someone is laying down some lines, because that's where now we can have some debate, push back, move the lines back and forth a little bit, see what makes sense. But having some lines to start with is important.
Yeah, and that's what Miss Crystal's great at doing. Getting the conversation out there, fighting the good fight. She's she's in the trenches working with them. I'm surprised they haven't called her to the Senate yet. They got Beato in there and a few of the other ones. They need to get some of this a legal analysis coming from an actual musician at the same time. It's nice to be able to hear good legal analysis from somebody who actually understands it from the artist's perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And speaking of, this is her music channel on YouTube at Miss Crystal Live. This is where you can get her jams and see some of the creative visual work that she's doing. Super talented across the board, and awesome resource for musicians and those involved in what we do, to be able to get some good free legal advice. And if you do need more, the Delgado Entertainment Service, her firm, this is where I would go if I was dealing with any AI related lawsuit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Great job, Miss Crystal. And now this Julia McCoy, this channel, man. When I hit a channel like this and I just start binging because everything is something that is of interest to me, whether it's technology or physics and science. And man, she does a good job of covering all the things that I like. And she is using an AI clone, what we looked at last week, and for that approach. But she's obviously putting a lot of time into making sure that this AI clone does what she wants it to do, represent. And yeah, look, the opening one here, how I cloned my voice in Avatar. So I'm gonna check that out, see if she's using some of the same tools as the one we were looking at last week.
Nice.
But for this one, what caught my eye was all my time travel rabbit holes I've been going down, and she's talking about how scientists just made time run backwards through some fancy programming. I mean, if we are living in a simulation, which Elon's got a $1 million bounty out there, if you can prove it, it would make sense that if you want to understand time or reverse engineer it, you might have to simulate it in code first in order to be able to know where time has been. And it's not so much about looking into the future, but being able to recreate the past based on the data that you have.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like when they run, models of the universe, going back to the Big Bang,
Yeah.
like we just run the clock backwards and see what it looks like, going back that far. But, there are limits, of course, to these simulations. To me, the main thing about time travel is what people think about in, movie style time travel, where somebody's kind of like,
Yeah.
boop, blips out of appearance here and boop, blips into appearance somewhere at some other point in the timeline. I don't see that ever happening, but things like being
same
able to
here.
send information back in time, that's a different story. Like that's a little bit more plausible at least. And, sometimes they talk about time travel using twisting light and things like that. So there are different ways that they try to accomplish these things. But if you talk to any physicist, they'll tell you, most of the time they'll tell you that, time travel is straight out for several reasons. But
Well, yeah, they put the white flag up and say not likely.
yeah, I mean,
We're
not
definitely
likely,
not
yes,
going to be
for sure.
physically moving around in time. I love how Hollywood is like brave enough to experiment with the ideas. But part of the reason why I even go down this rabbit hole is because I'm trying to find a like logical way to explain something like time travel if I want to use it as a writer.
Sure.
And just like with Star Trek, you want your explanations to at least sound scientifically sound, like in foundation, like maybe that is possible.
Well, that's the thing is, the question of does time flow at the same rate in different areas of the universe? And if the answer is no, then time can flow at variable rates in different places, then that changes things as well. So that's another question that's, important. But it's hard to find out because we're here. We're not there. So we can tell you how time flows here, but hard to say how it flows over there.
Well, it was Einstein who said time is relevant.
Time is relative. Everything's relative.
Relative, yes. And relevant.
Yeah, all relevant for sure.
Yeah. So let's see these theories, these ideas that they're thinking of for plausible recreation of time to at least look back.
Sounds good.
December 26, 2025. Scientists just reversed time itself, not in a sci-fi movie, but in a real laboratory. And what they discovered doesn't just challenge physics. It challenges everything you thought you knew about the nature of reality. This isn't about time travel. This is about something far more profound, something that's been hidden in the equations of physics for over 50 years, waiting for technology to catch up with theory. Hey, if we haven't met, I'm the digital avatar of the one and only Julia McCoy. While she's busy changing the world as CEO at First Movers, I'm created by her to spread the message and share the video scripts she personally researches and writes herself. I hope you enjoy. Julia reads every comment, so be sure to share your thoughts below. The revelation. Here's what just happened. Physicists at the City University of New York just made an electromagnetic wave run backward through time. Not backward through space, backward through time. Let me explain why this is absolutely mind-blowing. When you look in a mirror, light bounces off a surface and comes back to you through space. That's spatial reflection. We've understood it for centuries. But what these scientists just proved is temporal reflection. A wave that doesn't bounce back through space, but retraces its path backward through time itself. For over half a century, this existed only in theoretical equations. Physicists knew it was mathematically possible, but no one could actually do it until now. Dr. Hadi Musa and his team published their results in Nature Physics, and the implications are staggering. They didn't just observe this effect once. They created repeatable, controlled time reversals in a laboratory setting. And here's the kicker. They didn't need a particle accelerator or a billion-dollar facility. They did it with programmable circuits and metamaterials, technology that's becoming increasingly accessible. The mechanics. So how do you make time run backward? The team built what's called a transmission line metamaterial, essentially a metal strip embedded with high-speed electronic switches connected to capacitor banks. Think of it like a programmable fabric of space-time. Here's where it gets fascinating. They triggered a near-instant doubling of the material's electromagnetic impedance, its resistance to electrical current. This created what they call a temporal boundary, or time interface. When an electromagnetic wave hit this boundary, something extraordinary happened. Part of the wave didn't just stop or bounce back through space. It reversed in time, creating a perfect backward copy of itself. This is fundamentally different from anything we've seen before. We're not talking about spatial mirrors or echoes. We're talking about a wave that experiences time flowing in reverse. The critical breakthrough was achieving synchronization. Every switch across the entire metamaterial had to flip at exactly the same instant to create a uniform time interface. Get the timing even slightly wrong and the effect disappears. But when they got it right, they could reverse electromagnetic waves on demand. The implications. Now here's where this gets really interesting for anyone paying attention to the future. First, this confirms theories that have existed since the 1960s about temporal boundaries. For decades, physicists theorized that sudden changes in a medium could cause time reflection, but lacked experimental proof. That gap just closed. And second, the experiment also produced frequency translation, the ability to shift signals to different points in the electromagnetic spectrum. This opens up entirely new possibilities for spectrum engineering, adaptive filters, and frequency selective devices. Think about what this means. We're developing the ability to control waves, not just in space. We can now engineer how energy flows through the temporal dimension. The researchers are already exploring temporal cavities, systems where two time interfaces trap a signal and bounce it back and forth through time, creating interference effects we've never seen before. And this isn't limited to electromagnetic waves. The same principles could apply to acoustic waves, mechanical waves, even quantum spin systems. We're talking about a fundamental expansion of how we manipulate physical reality. The deeper pattern. But let's zoom out and look at the bigger pattern here. We're living through a moment where the boundaries between theoretical physics and practical technology are collapsing faster than ever before. Things that existed only in equations for decades are suddenly becoming real, repeatable, and scalable. Time mirrors, quantum computing breakthroughs, AI systems that can predict protein folding, technologies that seemed impossible are becoming routine. And here's what most people miss. Each of these breakthroughs doesn't exist in isolation. They compound. They create feedback loops that accelerate the next wave of discoveries. Time domain wave control could revolutionize communications, computing, and energy systems. Combined with quantum technologies and AI-designed materials, we're looking at capabilities that would have seemed like magic just a generation ago. The researchers emphasize this isn't science fiction. Time outside the experimental system continues flowing normally. But inside the system, they can now engineer conditions where waves experience temporal reversal. The trajectory. So where does this go next? The team is already working on improving switching accuracy for higher frequency implementations. They're exploring whether temporal boundaries can be layered or combined with spatial interfaces to create entirely new architectures. We could see time-based computing systems that process information through temporal manipulation rather than just spatial circuits. Communication systems that use temporal reflection to manage signal flow in ways we can't currently achieve. And as the hardware improves and becomes more precise, we'll unlock capabilities we haven't even imagined yet. This connects to emerging research in photonic devices that operate under dynamic material conditions, systems offering real-time control of energy and signal flow. These could play crucial roles in quantum computing, optical technologies, and next-generation communication. The first mover advantage. Here's what this means for you. We're entering an era where the fundamental building blocks of reality, space, time, energy, information are becoming programmable, not in theory, in practice. The companies, researchers, and industries that understand this shift first will define the next decade of technological capability. The ones that dismiss it as just physics research will be left behind. This is exactly the kind of inflection point I talk about on this channel. Most people won't pay attention to a physics paper about time reflection. They'll wait until it's already disrupted their industry. But first movers, they're studying these breakthroughs now. They're asking, how does this change what's possible? What becomes achievable that wasn't before? Where do these capabilities lead in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? The call to action. The future belongs to those who see these patterns emerging and position themselves ahead of the curve. Time mirrors aren't just a physics curiosity. They're a signal that we're gaining unprecedented control over the fundamental fabric of reality, that the impossible is becoming possible faster than most people realize. I'd love for you to hit subscribe so my digital clone can keep you ahead of these changes. Don't miss out. Let's embrace this age of breakthrough and abundance together. What do you think? Are we ready for a world where we can engineer time itself? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Julia reads every single one. See you down the next rabbit hole.
I'm ready.
Yep.
I'm ready, Julia.
Absolutely.
Hey, AI Julia kicks ass for her.
Yep, absolutely. Well done.
Yeah, and you know, she's right. Like most people wouldn't look at a paper like that, but for
I
me, I'll tear a paper like that up. That the kind of ideas that they're going out of the box here. Which you're gonna have to if you're gonna even try to like solve or understand dealing with time, and utilizing what we have now may be that missing link to maybe we could send a message back in a bottle with
the lottery numbers.
and yes, what happens if it turns out like some of the weird signals that people have reported throughout history could be that there maybe we are going to figure it out someday and are going to send weird signals back, and every once in a while you get these anomaly signals that I guess if you don't have the right antenna, then even if you're getting a perfectly clear signal from the future, if your antenna isn't like receptive to the way that message is coming, then who would know that they're actually getting the lottery numbers?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is, you know, as each generation, as we come up with, you know, 4G, 5G, as we come up with each generation of technology for, you know, communication, the ones before, if you were 3 generations earlier, you wouldn't have any idea of the new signal. Like you wouldn't be seeing it at all. So like, you know, the way that we progress going forward, like if we were looking at a planet, let's say like, you know, like let's go Star Trek for a second here. If we're like over
Star Trek is what I was thinking of the whole time.
Exactly. Like you come over to you know, another planet and you're looking down and they have, you know, a certain technology that's below yours. You should be able to see what they're doing and be able to, you know, eavesdrop essentially on all the signals. Like you could come down and say, okay, I can see all the TV signals, all the, you know, broadcast signals that are just flying through the air. You can intercept all of those and see all of that in that particular band of the spectrum. You understand what they're working with there.
Well, can you understand the communication that goes on between insects or birds?
I mean, that's the question is if you had AI analyze it, I believe that we are at the point now where AI can start analyzing some of these signals, and they've started to have AI analyze certain animal signals to see what kind of, you know, things they come up with in terms of signals and communication. It's interesting stuff for sure.
And you know, electricity ties to this in such a fascinating way. When she mentioned like their discovery of an electromagnetic signal that didn't cross the seam of physical, it crossed the seam of time-based, and To me, I'm thinking like if you could get a lightning bolt and follow the lightning bolt back through its process to where it originated, you could recreate the path of that lightning bolt and go back, considering what energy is. Does energy follow the same rules of time that we do?
Well, lightning's an interesting example because lightning, I believe, actually does go from the ground up. So, like, it looks like it strikes the ground, but it's actually, the actual energy is going from the ground up. Because if you look at the charge separation, the charges that are happening in the clouds because of because of ice crystals banging against each other, causing the charges up there, and then the charge has to, equalize. So it's like a static charge when you go zap, but it's at a
And
much larger scale.
if you can go to the point where the lightning bolt finishes and figure out exactly, like it's like a energy forensics almost, like, okay, it hit here, and given the energy readings of what it is, it must have traveled this way and branched and broken like this. And if you could recreate something like that accurately, the wave she was talking about, audio waves, visual waves, if
They all
you
relate in certain ways, and when they mentioned the boundary and the reflection off of a boundary, that's common in physics. Like any kind of boundary layer, any kind of wave coming through is going to reflect and also pass through certain amounts. Like some will bounce completely off, some will pass completely through. It depends on the material, depends on the wave. A lot of stuff going on there. If there's a hole or a gap and the wave hits, it'll go through and it'll spread out in a wave that goes out. Like it looks like a wave, like coming through, like you throw a stone in a pond and you get a wave that goes out.
well, when you hit a prism
Mhm.
with the right beam of light and it
Mhm.
turns into the rainbow,
Yeah, that's the different. The light separating because of the speed at which it's going through the material, and the different colors get deflected a different amount through the material. But it's the material itself has a coefficient of diffraction that'll change that. Like each material has a set amount of diffraction. So like a prism made of glass, or it has an amount that it'll bend the light, and that's why you get that um, that spread of colors going on there.
well, I'll tell you, this is more believable to me in like, I've kept up with like people trying to invent time machines
Mhm.
for my whole life, and like most of it does sound like just not going to work.
Mhm.
Your theories aren't started in anything that makes sense.
They mostly
it-
have the DeLorean, but they don't have the flux capacitor is the problem.
yeah, and even Star Trek, which is usually pretty great at like having believable science in their show.
Mhm.
Even when it comes to time travel, they have done like everybody else in Hollywood and just like, oh, um, we're just going to explain it this way, and we're not really going to get into details on the technology side of it.
I liked the couple times that I remember them doing time travel stuff in Star Trek, things like gravity slingshot past the star, things that are like super
Yeah,
extreme examples where like you don't try this because you're gonna rip your ship apart
and,
if you try, but
and
if you really have to, you
it
can.
had some scientifical backing in the concept, the idea.
Mhm.
One of the most interesting ones was actually the last show that was on CBS. They had a ship that could travel through time, but it was because of a space bug. It was like a giant, like bacterial space being that happened to have the ability to teleport essentially, but could also jump through time,
Mhm.
because of the way that it jumped around the universe. Like you said, does time work the same way everywhere? Well, if I jump all the way to the other side of the universe and time over there is stretched out or condensed, am I in the same time?
Well, that's the thing is that since we think about time and space, and we usually think about them separately, but we should think about space time as a solid
Yes.
thing. Like 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time gives you 4 dimensional space time, and
Damn
in
it, Einstein.
yeah, and in extreme situations, like if you get two black holes orbiting each other, for example, they do what's called frame dragging, and like the time around that system can change. Like, time will be experienced differently if you were right near there. If you're right near there, you're in trouble anyway. But if you're right near there, you would experience time differently than if you were outside. And that's where two observers, one who is right in that mess and one who is far away, would see time traveling at a different speed because of the extreme gravitational effects going on.
In some cases, you can see it at small levels, like that the astronaut that had a twin, and he went up into space, and when he came back, he was a little taller than
He's a
his
lot
twin.
taller.
Yeah, and his watch, they calculated that his watch, mechanics, was like 6 seconds off or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you move at high speed, you actually experience time at differently than you do if you're standing
Time
still.
dilation.
Time dilation. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. Yep.
Now,
and that gets more and more extreme the closer you get to the speed of light. So like that's 6 seconds after being in space for months and months and months. Whereas if we're talking about, and he's not like he traveled in time. You could say he traveled 6 seconds into the future because he went so fast. I mean, if you look at it that way, it's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
But he didn't experience a 6-second jump into the future. He experienced time the same way we did. It's just that where he was, because his frame of reference was moving so much faster.
Having mechanical things like precision Swiss watches, being
that helps you be able to tell
by time dilation is what fascinated me. It's like maybe we can handle physically a certain amount of time dilation. But if your equipment, all of a sudden, I built it to be this accurate, but in this time, if it's doing something where it's not actually doing its job properly and it's 6 seconds off, would you want your car to like function like that?
Well, I don't want my car going relativistic speeds anyway. I mean, I already drive fast enough, so we don't need to get near the speed of light. But those effects really don't start kicking in until you get really, really, really fast. So.
Yeah, see, that's where like when the Enterprise would go into warp and things. And again, I loved their like generic explanations for warp drive and everything. But I did have some theoretical questions like, why don't they slam into a planet by accident? Or
you got to be careful where you aim, or that's what happens. Yeah. And that's part of, why it's all calculations. That's why you don't just go that way and just go. It's just like getting in the car and just kind of like pointing, over there and just driving like super fast. Like, you're going to hit a tree, a house, a person, something.
That's why cousin Jeff doesn't let her drive.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting in the car and go that way. Yeah, exactly.
I love this one, Julia. I am soaking up that channel. It makes my brain glow.
Absolutely. And you mentioned warp drive, like the whole Alcubierre warp drive. Like the idea is that you're in a separate little bubble of space-time that can move faster than light, where you're not actually traveling through space-time faster than light. You're just your little bubble of space-time is moving through space-time faster.
There's been a couple of movies that tried to kind of play off of that like idea of the shell is actually negating the damage that would happen to you, so you're safe inside the little pod because all the shell is taking those time anomalies. Kind of like Contact, if you think about like the movie Contact and the way they tried to explain some things, and the recent Flash movie also kind of played around with that concept of he would run to a speed where he created a bubble, and the bubble took the brunt of the time traveling, and he would just pop up at wherever he decided to drop.
Yeah, it was a little odd the way that kind of worked out in the movie, the way they did that. I liked it though, in terms of, the way that they did it, kind of in a similar way that they did the Superman time travel thing way back then, but in a different way.
But if it was Superman doing that and forcing the Earth to counter rotate, that's not how time works, and everybody's gonna be dead down there. Shame on you, Superman.
Might be a slight tsunami going on if the planet starts to spin the other way. Maybe. I don't know.
I loved it as a kid, but as I got older, and I'm like, oh my God, no wonder all the adults were like, this is the stupidest thing they could have done in a Superman movie.
Yeah. They were like, no.
Okay, I still watch the movie like 40 times.
Sure. Movies are good that way.
Oh, and especially speaking of movies, our next video, this was the other one that I've been binging these channels because they're after my own heart. Like this one especially, the Silicon Siren, she plays with all the gear, and she must have been a Commodore girl as a kid because she's got a couple of Commodore related things that the Commodore 64 was my first jam.
Oh yeah, my buddy had one for sure.
Yeah, she's got one down here, the Quantum Link one. I was watching that actually before we started. I lived on this online service from like 87 to like 91, and then it became AOL.
Mm-hmm. The precursor.
Yeah.
So we have them to blame for all the coasters in the mail, huh?
Hey, there's a lot of landfill out there because of those years.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So at the Silicon Siren, is this is a series she's working on. So this is episode 1, but she goes back to some of the classic computers and movies. And me, when I saw that, I'm like, war games. This movie ain't this documentary ain't complete without the Whopper. And turns out, like some of the other computers that end up popping up, Commodore kicked ass in some. The Amiga gets some love.
Mm-hmm. I can't do that, Hal.
Oh, Hal was one of my favorite. Making the computer the bad guy, like that was
I can't do that, Dave.
Yeah. You know, Dave's not here.
Dave's not here, man.
Oh, somebody's gonna have to do one on computers in Cheech and Chong. I don't think there were any.
Probably not.
No, let's take that step back in time and get our retro on.
All right, let's see it.
When people talk about classic sci-fi movies from the 80s and 90s, they remember the icons. The DeLorean, KITT, flying cars cutting through neon rain. But those weren't the technologies that quietly reshaped how we imagine the future. The real future sat on desks. It hummed, it blinked, and most of the time, it didn't say a word. Today, we're rewiring nostalgia by looking at the computers of retro tech cinema, the machines you barely noticed, but absolutely believed. Sci-fi lives or dies on credibility. Not realism, credibility. And nothing grounds a futuristic world faster than a believable computer interface. These machines weren't just props. They established power, control, intelligence, and who owned the future. A glowing terminal in the background could tell you more about a world than pages of exposition. And the best part? Most of these computers weren't invented from scratch. They were real machines, or very close cousins, repurposed to quietly suggest, yes, this future could happen. Alien doesn't give us sleek sci-fi tech. Instead, we get industrial computing, chunky keyboards, monochrome CRTs, text-only interfaces. The Nostromo's computer systems feel closer to a 1970s mainframe than a futuristic AI. And that's exactly why they're terrifying. The Mother 6000 central AI system isn't friendly. She doesn't explain herself. She doesn't care. This is computing as bureaucracy, cold, corporate, and unquestionable. The computer isn't helping the crew survive. It's enforcing policy. And just like that, Alien teaches us something fundamental. The future isn't dangerous because it's advanced. It's dangerous because it's indifferent. Blade Runner famously avoids the clean future. Instead, it gives us an analog world layered with computing power. Deckard's Esper machine isn't sleek, it's physical. Buttons, knobs, switches. The act of computing is tactile, deliberate, almost ritualistic. The machine doesn't guide him, it waits. This reinforces the film's core theme. Technology doesn't make moral decisions. Humans do. And by keeping the interface grounded and mechanical, Blade Runner makes the computer feel like an extension of authority, not intelligence. Before Tron takes us inside the computer, it spends a surprising amount of time showing us the outside. The early Incom systems aren't futuristic fancy machines. They're recognizably corporate computers of the late 70s and early 80s. Large terminals, centralized systems, controlled access. These are machines designed to be owned, not explored. Incom represents a very specific fear of the era, that computing power was becoming concentrated, abstracted, and unreachable. You don't sit down and experiment, you log in, if you're allowed to. What Tron gets exactly right is that the danger isn't the computer itself, it's the structure around it. Who controls the system? Who decides what runs? Who gets locked out? The MCP isn't a rogue intelligence, it's a bureaucratic one. It consolidates power, absorbs competitors, and optimizes for dominance. Tron doesn't just visualize a digital world, it visualizes what happens when computing becomes centralized, corporate, and unchallengeable. And decades later, that might be one of the most accurate predictions any sci-fi movie has ever made. War Games might be the most honest computer movie ever made, not because it predicts the future, but because it understands the present it was made in. There's no spectacle here, no visual metaphors for hacking, no magical interfaces. What we see instead is process. David's bedroom setup looks exactly like what computing enthusiasts actually had access to in the early 1980s. A personal computer, a modem, and just enough curiosity to be dangerous. The film takes its time showing us dialing, waiting, listening. The delays matter. The friction matters. Because War Game understands something that most movies miss. Computing power wasn't scary. Access was. The military systems in the film don't look futuristic. They look old, institutional, and completely unapproachable. Huge rooms, giant screens, operators who trust the system because they don't understand it. And that's the real tension. The Whopper, or Joshua, isn't portrayed as evil. It's obedient, relentless, and unquestioning. The danger comes from automation paired with authority and a complete lack of human context. What War Games quietly argues is that computers don't need malice to be dangerous. They just need permission. Or, as we saw recently in Tron Ares, ambiguous directives. And when you contrast David's tiny bedroom setup with the vast military infrastructure behind the Whopper, the message becomes painfully clear. The future didn't arrive through innovation. It arrived through connectivity. A phone line was enough. That idea that systems designed to be isolated are only one curious user away from exposure was genuinely terrifying in 1983. And honestly, it still is. Hackers flips the script. This isn't computing as bureaucracy or fear, it's computing as identity. The hardware itself is mostly believable for the era. Unix workstations, laptops, and modems. But the presentation is mythologized. Interfaces become landscapes, data becomes architecture, hacking becomes performance art. Is it realistic? Of course not. But Hackers does something incredibly important. It makes computers desirable. This movie is why an entire generation wanted to touch a keyboard. Not because it was powerful, but because it was cool. Hackers doesn't predict the future, it inspires it. Jurassic Park marks a turning point. Suddenly, the future isn't text-based. We see advanced GUIs, high-end Unix workstations, and systems that feel aspirational. This wasn't fantasy tech. This was elite tech. If you recognized the Silicon Graphics workstation in 1993, you understood exactly how powerful and exclusive this world was. The future had a price tag. Stranger Things Season 4 gives us one of the most quietly perfect computing moments in modern sci-fi. Susie's Amiga 1000 isn't treated like a joke. It isn't nostalgia bait. It's a tool. When Susie hacks into the Hawkins school system to change Dustin's grade, the scene is grounded, confident, and most importantly, respectful of the machine. This isn't flashy hacking, no spinning 3D graphics, no instant results. It's methodical, focused, and believable. The Amiga represents a very specific era of home computing, when power was personal, not institutional. Susie isn't breaking into a military system, not yet anyway. She's navigating bureaucracy, and that's exactly what makes it powerful. This scene captures what early home computers really did for people. They lowered the barrier between users and systems that were never meant to be questioned. The Amiga isn't portrayed as magical, it's portrayed as capable, and that distinction matters. Because this is computing as empowerment, not spectacle. Skill over status, access over authority. For anyone who grew up with machines like this, that moment isn't just accurate, it's emotional. What we've talked about today is just a fraction of the machines that shaped retro tech cinema, and one modern take. There are far too many important computers, too many terminals, workstations, home systems, and forgotten interfaces to fit into a single video. And that's intentional, because this is only part one. Retro sci-fi didn't just imagine the future once, it revised it, argued about it, and warned us about it. And the computers, quietly sitting in the background, were always doing more storytelling than we gave them credit for. So, the next time you re-watch your favorite sci-fi film, don't just look at the cars or the sexy sci-fi babes. Hard, I know. Look at the desks, the keyboards, the terminals softly glowing off to the side, because that's where the future was really hiding. And if you want to keep digging into these machines, the real ones, the forgotten ones, the ones that actually shaped how we think about technology, good, because this series is just getting started. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like a peek behind the scenes and access to other exclusive content, make sure to support me on Patreon. I hope to see you there. And special shout out to all my current Patreon supporters.
Oh, I want to see it all. She got me thinking of some other movies that she's probably going to get into in this series. Minority Report had an interesting approach there. There's a movie with Tom Selleck called Runaway, which is around this time. And again, we saw robotic police devices. And let's not forget RoboCop.
Now, I mean, you also had Gene Simmons as a bad guy in Runaway.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember that,
oh yeah, yeah. I was like, Gene Simmons is an actor.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff.
Yeah,
and there's, as you said, there are several, and I was trying to think of one in particular. Sometimes what I've noticed most lately is watching a movie, and it's the phones that give it away. Like, you know, you watch a movie and you think it's a new movie, and somebody breaks out a flip phone. You're like,
well, in the case of war games, it's the phone modem, the coupler that gives it away. It's like, damn, that's some dated shit.
That is some dated shit for sure. And I mean, I saw that, you know, she had that Mac behind her. She also had that Apple IIc behind her there. That's one of the first machines I remember was the Apple IIc. That was a good one. Same, like in the vein of the Commodore that you were talking about, the Commodores, the Amigas, the, you know, all that stuff back then. There's a lot of good hardware back then. That was good.
Well, the Amiga especially was ahead of its time. I mean, I was impressed with the Mac and the GUI interface that Apple did bring in, but at the time I was using a Commodore and GEOS. The Commodore started coming out with this GEOS operating system, which all of a sudden we're not starting up at a basic screen where you got to input and program.
Mhm.
Geos brought you into a graphical interface with a mouse kind of approach, and it was like, okay, icons. It had a word processor, my first word processor.
Yeah. The
That
early
didn't
days.
that didn't suck because I did have a word processor before.
Yeah. I remember that one. The one that did suck for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
There were a couple
my
back then.
VIC 20 had a horrible word processor. My Commodore 64 kicked ass.
Yeah. No, and then like they were saying, just having a modem and access can be scary. And to be fair, I was a little scary when I was yeah, a youngin, because I mean I had a modem and I had access and I could do stuff. So yeah, I was the war games kid.
The big problem when you're going back to those coupled modems, even the early Commodore ones, 150 baud,
Oh yeah,
300 baud.
Sure.
And it didn't really go up from 300.
Well, I remember getting that Hayes Smart Modem 1200B when we got
Well,
there.
yes. Well, they did get to like 800 and 1200, but it was more because of compression, not because the phone lines weren't magically faster.
Yep.
They just figured out how to crunch things more efficiently. And that's where, like, using certain protocols, if you were going to download, you had to decide, am I going to use the XY protocol or the X protocol? There was a Zoom protocol.
Was there error checking? Would it recover from a failed download? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, if it didn't and you download it for 2 hours and there's all these dead packets in it, then
that's no good.
Oh yeah, and
that's one thing I was thinking about with that time reflection stuff was error checking. Like, you know, that would be like, instead of error checking, just go back in time and get the information. You know, okay, yeah.
Well, in the way like the error checking kind of works with our internet nowadays is if it detects that a packet dropped, then it re-requests the entire packet. And you know, it's effective, but at the same time, it's why you don't get the ping times if you're playing games and things. You don't want to use
requesting. Yeah.
You don't want to use TCP/IP, which is what the web works off of, because that will make it resend if the packet didn't fully go through. If you use UDP, that's a protocol that gaming companies love to use because it's just an open fire hose. Here's the packet. If you didn't get it, here's the next packet. You don't need the last packet. So it's just a fire hose of data.
You could do some frame skipping. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want accurate information, then if the packet didn't go properly, send it again. Yeah. If it didn't go, send it again.
Accurate's good. Accurate's good. I like accurate.
Not in gaming. You're trying to keep track of like my partner's over here. Now he's over here. Now he's over there.
Oh yeah.
If you didn't get the packet that he's here and now you need the packet that he's there, you don't want to keep fighting with that old packet. You want the most up-to-date packet. That's ping time.
One of the things we've seen lately with newest games is rubber banding is one of the things that you'll see where you'll be running along and you go to like, you know, or you're trying to get through a doorway, right? And you're running and it looks like you went through the doorway fine. But as far as the server is concerned, you were like an inch further to the side than you thought you were, and you're actually caught on the doorway. So like you went through the doorway, and all of a sudden you're stuck on the doorway, and you're like, "Wait, I was over there, and now I'm over here." It's like that was where the game client and the game server did not agree on where you were, and they had to, you know, basically decide, "Okay, you're over here now."
Yeah,
and that's you get that happening sometimes. And once you figure out when it happens and how to resolve that, just by moving back a little bit or whatever, you can do a little shift to make it better. But there's also just some underlying problems with the way the network setup is going. Is if that's happening.
Yeah. Well, at least you didn't knock your head on the doorway because they made short doors and Glenn's a giant.
Exactly. Now I have seen some parodies of video game stuff where like some of these games where like the way the movement controls are so clunky, where like if you're trying to go somewhere, like instead of just turning and going through the doorway that's diagonally over there, you end up running into the wall and just kind of like face scraping along the wall until you get through the doorway. It's like, well, some games are bad that way.
And depending on what you're trying to simulate in the game, it actually makes sense that if the character gets drunk in the game, all of a sudden your controls are not working super accurately. You're drunk, and your controller should actually reflect that.
They do actually in some of the games, like for example, in Warcraft, you can get drunk and like your character, like your vision will start like, start moving like that.
All of a
They
sudden,
cover that.
all of a sudden, orcs start looking hot.
No beer goggles, no. Especially not for orcs. No.
The mead in World of Warcraft is strong.
Yes, the mead goggles.
So that look back was at the Silicon Siren. I have soaked up half of these videos, and I'm going back for the rest tonight. Every one of them is a moment in time I lived through. She covers Windows NT4 and XP 2000. You remember those moments?
I remember those moments well. Yes, I mean NT4 was one of the ones that I supported in a work environment for many years. So yes, for sure.
I started using it before the work environment. I had to go tell my work environment, you need to get off this Windows 98 bullshit, and you need an actual like real server. In the late 90s, that was the big groundbreaking technology for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I mean, I've been doing technology, corporate tech support since like I literally got my first Windows certification in Windows 3.1. So I mean, that was we're going back a ways.
And if you're dealing with network, it had to be Windows for Work Group.
It was Windows 3.1, yeah, Windows for Work Group.
Yeah,
and at the time we were using Lantastic and Novell 3.5 for the networks over there. So
she has a video in here where she helped me upgrade my sad home network, and she's looking back at like some of those we were going with, what was it, 1 megabit?
I couldn't even remember.
Coax.
Yeah. My first machine was coax for sure. That was the one that I had at college actually, which was a 286. We were up to 286 by then. So
yeah, and then Xerox came into the picture, and AMD in the early days, and all of a sudden it wasn't just Intel and 386s. You either got one with a math coprocessor or you're a dumbass.
Yep, DX or no. Yeah.
Yes, DX only.
Yep.
So now we're going to shift to a little movie making kind of knowledge, and not necessarily for the cameraman, because I think it's just as important now for anybody who's going to prompt AI.
Yep.
And the reason why this channel put it together is because Dom, teaches people how to actually prompt better and utilize AI effectively. And this is something you really need to know how to talk to the AI about.
Exactly. And that's the thing is being an AI whisperer, understanding how to prompt is very, very crucial at this point in time.
It's where the big paychecks are going right now.
Yeah. It's good skills to have.
At Tech Tutor Zones, and like you can see here, like tutorials on color, how to talk to it about color, lighting prompts. You practically will be the director and become the director if you're properly prompting AI.
Yep, exactly.
And the camera moves is some of the most important. If you actually do see your vision a certain way, like great movies have strategic zoom ins, strategic dolly effect.
Yep. Let's see what we call them.
And that's what he's going to be mentioning a lot.
Oh yeah.
38 camera moves, one masterclass. So if you want your AI videos to look cinematic, you need to understand camera movement. So today I'm covering all 38 techniques of cinematography, dolly moves, lens manipulation, infinite scale continuity, and much more. This is the ultimate guide to prompting camera movement in AI filmmaking. So let's start with the first category, and those are the famous dolly moves. Basically it is called dolly because camera is mounted on a wheeled platform, a dolly, and moves forward or backwards through space. So first we have a slow dolly in. So let's showcase on this model. So here we have the subject and the camera will move towards her. Very simple, like that. Nice. Then we have slow dolly out. And while prompting AI, you need to separate the camera from subject and environment, as I did here, because otherwise AI video model can create something completely different and misunderstand you. So slow dolly out. Still we have the same subject. Now the camera moves outwards slowly. Let's see once again. Nice. Then we have fast dolly in, so-called rush. So camera moves rapidly forward toward the subject's face, creating a sudden sense of urgency. And this is what we have. So you see a fast move towards her face. So those were 3 examples of image to video. I will use both image to video, text to video, and many different models here on magichour.ai platform. Now we have one interesting movement, so it's called the vertigo effect, so-called Zolly, where camera physically moves backward while simultaneously the lens zoom in. And this looks like following. So you see, kind of a weird feeling you have while looking at that. So this is Zolly or vertigo effect. So let's move to the category 2 of so-called infinite scale continuity. First, we have extreme macro zoom, so face, body to micro. So then we have cosmic hyper zoom, so space to street.
Tu vois, tu souris comme si c'était un miracle. Un petit miracle du samedi matin.
Then let's move to the third category, which is character mounted framing. So basically specific relationship between camera and the subject. The first one is so-called over the shoulder OTS shot. So before starting you see camera is like mounted here and he is blurred out, and here we have the other subject. And if we click play, it looks as simple as that. But you know, this is used often in different movies, so like the camera is mounted here. This specific example was created in Sea Dance. Then we have famous fisheye or peephole lens, so extreme wide angle distortion. And I will constantly change the subject to make things interesting. So here the subject is this weird looking vampire. And it looks like follows. Yeah, so extreme fisheye lens, like looking through the peephole. Category 4 is obstacle and environmental interaction, and we will start from so-called reveal from behind or wipe movement. So this is where the camera starts blocked by a foreground object, a wall or pillar, and it slides laterally. Simple example here. This is the wall, and now the subject is coming out here, and the camera follows. Very often used in many different movies. Then also very often used is so-called through shot, so fly through aperture shot. So we have this lady sitting in the office behind the window. Now the camera starts going through the window to her face, and she is looking very, very excited to be on the 9-to-5 job. Category 5 is all about focus and lens manipulation. Basically the camera stays kind of fixed in one spot and just rotates and the subject is steady. The first one is reveal from blur, fade in. So the video starts completely out of focus, bokeh, and the lens slowly pulls focus until the subject is razor sharp. And here you see the beginning frame, very blurry, and then if we play, you see how it's become sharper and then razor sharp, while the background is still blurred out. Similarly, we have rack focus foreground to background, and the shot begins with the subject in sharp focus and the background blurry. Halfway through, the focus shifts and the subject becomes blurry and the background becomes sharp. And we can easily see that in this example here. You see the start, background, and the subject. And now, yeah, you see now the subject is completely blurry and the background is sharp. So this is also one of the nice effects. Category 6 is all about the tripod moves. First starting with tilt up. As the name suggests, we know what will happen here. Here we have the legs revealed, and now the camera starts moving up towards the head, to the eyes of the subject. And here we have this superhero. As you guessed it probably, now we have the tilt down. Mostly the same subject. Now when we play, the camera moves down to her feet. So, you know, you can use all of those moves while you are trying to create a short film, where you're trying to do any kind of AI filmmaking. Because camera prompting is probably one of the most important things. This is what we call the slider moves, so lateral moves, where the camera moves sideways on a track. So we have camera track left. Here is our new subject. And you see, this is also something that you notice in many movies. Some kind of those shots. Of course, we have also lateral track right. The same subject, just in different studio. And yeah, we see how the camera is moving nicely as we want it to. Now moving on to the category 8, which are orbital movements. So basically the camera circles around the subject. So we have orbit 180, so half circle, changing the subject once again. Now we have this lady here, and this is the move. You see, very cinematic. Oh yeah, since we have 180, then we also need to have fast 360 orbit. This is called the spin. The subject is in the studio, and this is what is happening. You see, 360 spin. It didn't go 360 completely because I choose only the duration of the video of 5 seconds. Then we have slow cinematic arc, where the camera moves in a gentle wide curve around the subject, revealing their side profile slowly. And now again we have a different subject, and this is what is actually happening. Then one of the most important moves in filmmaking are vertical movements, so crane or pedestal. So we have pedestal down, here is our new subject, and you see how the crane is kind of going down, pedestal going to the pedestrian mode. Yeah. Then we have pedestal up, so the entire camera body physically rises vertically straight up from waist level to the eye level. So you see starting from here, from the waist, and then going up slowly to the eye level. Then we have crane up or high angle reveal, changing the subject, and you see this already feels like the camera is on crane that is moving upwards. Also very often used in filmmaking. And of course we also have crane down, also called landing. She's looking madly at us. The crane is going slowly down. Pretty good. Already we arrived at category 10, which are optical lens effects, and those could look very similar to some of the camera moves that we previously showed. So starting with a smooth optical zoom in. So we have our astronaut here. And okay, I mean the video quality is not out of this world because once again I just use the C-Dance low model, but nonetheless the prompting works. You see what is happening. Then we have smooth optical zoom out. We have this nice cartoonish vampire. And yeah, slowly zooming out, and background is becoming blurry. Also snap zoom or crash zoom is very important. So a sudden extremely rapid zoom directly into the subject eyes. So we have the guy with a nice hair here. And the nice smile. And you see how the camera zooms very quickly to the eyes. Category 11 is used a lot in modern times. Those are drone and aerial views. So we have drone flyover. Here are our guys. And you see high altitude fly over them to this nice sea and the mountains. Epic drone reveal is also popular. So pedestal plus tilt. This is what we got here. So see, it's not a very mystical reveal. Sometimes you need to prompt it once again to get the desired results, but I just wanted to show you the prompts and the videos. Also very important is large scale drone orbit. So a massive sweeping aerial circle around the subject, showing the immense scale of the environment and everything. Those are always very nice. So everything looks beautiful and turning around the subject. Let me know in the comments below which of those you are mostly using, and if you'd like the prompts, of course. One not so popular is top down, so God's eye view, top down drone shot, where the camera is positioned directly overhead, pointing straight down, slowly twisting. And this is how does that look like. So you see, very smooth movement over the subject. Then we also have FPV drone, aggressive, so drone dive. For this example, I have a simple cartoonish-like video here. Yeah, looking nice. And then the dive begins. Oh yeah. The next category are stylized and dynamic movements. So first one is so-called handheld documentary style. So here we have our vampire. And you see, camera kind of moves like someone is holding the camera in their hands. Also, whip pan, very popular. The camera whips violently to the left with extreme directional motion blur. Our new subject and the camera, you see, you noticed, very quick, and the motion blur there happening in the background. It's just a slight movement of the camera. And then the famous Dutch angle or roll, where the camera is permanently tilted sideways on its z-axis. In movies, in many cases, they use that for the dramatic effect and everything. You see, the camera is constantly kind of tilted while he's doing something, I don't know what. We have arrived at the 13th category, which are based on the subject tracking, so requires subject motion. First one is leading shot or backward tracking, where the subject walks forward toward the camera at a steady pace and the camera moves backward at the exact same speed. So here is our guy and he starts walking towards the camera, but camera also moves at the same speed or almost the same speed as he is. Then something opposite to that is called following shot or forward tracking, where the subject walks away from the camera and the camera follows behind them. And he is walking nicely and the camera is walking at the exact same speed as he is. Side tracking or the parallel is used a lot. So the subject walks from the left to the right, for example, and the camera tracks alongside him. So we have this nice lady in the city. She's walking and the camera tracks naturally from her profile. This is very nice camera move, always used. And we also have POV walk, so first person walk, where the camera moves forward with the slight bobbing and swaying motion of a person walking, approaching the subject. For those kind of things, depending on the video model, sometimes it will be successful, sometimes not. You need to prompt it again and again. But this looks kind of fair. Yeah, like someone is POV walking towards the subject. And there you have it, 38 camera moves and techniques you can use in AI filmmaking. Not every generation will be perfect, and that's completely normal. AI filmmaking is about iteration. You test, regenerate, refine, and that's how cinematic results are made. Thanks for watching. If this helped you, hit like and subscribe for more AI filmmaking guides. And I'll see you in the next one.
All about the iterations.
And it's not just useful for AI prompting. I mean, it is everything he showed you there. That is how you want to talk to it in AI across the different engines. But that information is just as relevant on the video editing side. If you're, I didn't know it was a Dutch thing, but I dealt with that Dutch roll actually in Georgie and a couple of other. I recognized everything. I didn't necessarily know the proper term. What's awesome is now I have something with a reference that I can actually, I'm going to keep that video Dom as like my go-to when I am looking to explain the kind of scene that I'm hoping my director will shoot.
Yeah, this would be great for storyboarding. I mean, just understanding what you're writing down and being able to convey all of those transitions, like you said, as well.
Well, and they each serve different kinds of purposes, like the zooms versus the swirling around and the walking dolly approach. That was a nice girl.
Sure.
And it was a nice, smooth camera roll. That is what you would want in a situation like that.
Exactly. And again, understanding how to prompt it is how you get the results that you're looking for from the scenes that you're getting. And that way you can, more easily customize and tailor the AI video scenes you're getting.
Even if you're a 3D modeler and developer, which you have to deal with cameras and knowing, like when he was talking about the fisheye approach, another thing I had to deal with in Georgie and make it look like it's coming from a ring cam or a peephole.
Yep, exactly. Understanding what's going on in those situations is important.
Yeah. And then if you are doing all the development over on the AI side, it's cool because the AI actually does the drawing for you. If you have to deal with pre-made footage, like I had to with this movie, the footage was shot and the angles are static, and we did some experimental things to get people to be where they weren't originally filmed. And, in some cases it's masking and like cutting out the person and replacing the background. And in other cases, I would have liked to have been able to incorporate some of these camera angles to the scenes that I was working with. I haven't seen good enough results with pre-shot footage of getting these from, like, say, a flat camera angle that's just facing forward, but I wanted to circle around.
That's where sometimes even from a static image now, with being able to generate backgrounds with AI, like you technically can get to where you can move the camera a little bit around the scene and see a little, have it fill in essentially behind the person and assume what's there.
Yeah, what where you end up using a lot of credits on these engines is if you need it to be regenerative. If it
Yeah.
has to generate a background or it needs to regenerate one because now we're spinning around the person, so AI has to figure out what would the background look like if and then build it.
Exactly.
And that sucks up all your credits real fast if you're prompting. Like the biggest challenge is to get to know the engine with good prompting without wasting all your credits and then having to spend.
And this way, you know, by being very specific about the camera angles that you want and all of that, you can get the result that you're looking for much more easily with less iterations.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just about being very verbose about it. Accuracy in what you're asking for is important, and it's not about like over explaining things. It's just about like perfect explanation.
Just enough, yeah. Because if you do over explain, then you know you might start getting contradictions, and you start confusing it and causing
What
additional side effects.
what I found while I was playing around with some of the scenes that I was trying to do last weekend is the more complicated the explaining got, the more anomalies that started to pop up in the results. And it's like, how do I get this to stop doing these extra things? Maybe I'm asking too much.
Sure. And I mean, a lot of it, as you say, like it comes down to the tokenization as well. Like as you add more words, you are making it more difficult for the AI to try to focus on all these things at the same time, you know? So it is important to really focus on the important things that the important elements that you want and really focus to start there.
And you kind of have to know your AI a little bit, like where it is good and where it's not good. Because tried a couple of different ones for a couple of different things, and some were good at one thing, like animating in some cases, lip syncing. I saw some impressive things. But if I'm trying to generate the original image that I'm going to start with, a lot of those video ones, that's not their specialty. And if you go trying to say, I want this particular scene, I wasn't getting the scene I was actually wanting to start with a lot of the animation tools.
No, another thing was
Chat GPT ended up giving me my best starting frame. It listened to me.
yeah, and that's where some of them, with at least with the image generation, for example, there was like a slider for how much the AI is going to really, go its own way with it, and how much they're going to focus on what you say in your words. And there was a slider, so like you could have it really, stick to what you're asking it, or you can have it really on the other side where it's going to really fill it all in itself, or you can figure out how much of that mix you want.
It's an adjustable fuzz factor.
Exactly. So like
The
you can
more
start
I
at the
slide this, the more fuzzy the logic starts to become.
Exactly. So let's say you start with that prompt that you had that's very specific and you want a very specific result. You start with that slider all the way over to the very specific side. And then if it's too specific, you're not getting the exact result you want. You start sliding it over a little towards the go ahead and, wing it a a little bit, but not too much.
Experiment. Experiment. Just don't go nuts.
Just a little, right? And then you can add more of that, move that slider over and ask it to do a little more filling in as time goes on.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to see that with these AI engines, there's dials and sliders that don't make any sense to like a traditional graphic artist like me. I know what most sliders and dials will do in a program, but playing with the AI tools, especially the music ones, some of these sliders and dials are for variants that didn't exist in the old days.
Oh yeah, for sure. New settings.
Yeah, more knobs.
Yeah.
And
switches and knobs.
All right. Well, when I need to know more, Dom, that was a great like visual example for each one of those. I now know what to call my scene transitions, both for the AI and to my directors.
Yeah, excellent. Good knowledge to have.
Yep, at Tech Tutor Zones. And
hardware time.
And actually, this one's coming from a Dom too, but it's Dom Segalis, and we actually started following him. One of our hardware nights where we were looking at, because he does great reviews on things, and as you can see, like
yeah.
he plays with a lot of toys. And at Dom Segalis over on YouTube, and this particular controller, I want to get something from Yamaha that I can feel like I got something good from Yamaha, because I hate my Firewire mixer and I spent so much for it. And I've always been shy of Yamaha because of getting snake bit at the wrong times. But if they're going to get into like Surface controllers and MIDI controllers, and this is nice and clean, if it's under $100, I'd actually get a couple of them.
Nice.
Because it's very programmable. Yes, you're only dealing with one channel at a time on the DAW, but you see the left right channel buttons there perfectly in the right place to just, okay, channel 2, same thing, channel 3. If it moves and it adjusts for each one, I want this in my gear in the future, because I miss my knobs and my sliders.
Yeah, having the physical interface is important for certain things.
For the audio stuff and the video stuff, I'm tired of doing my video editing with this.
And that's the thing, is the mouse. You can't get the same accuracy as you would with a physical, as you slide that fader up, that's a nice gentle slide. The same thing with the scrub wheel. You can do things a little more accurately than you can with the mouse.
If that scrub wheel gives me tick level video adjusting, I'll buy it just for that.
Exactly.
Especially if it remembers my settings. So if that little lever moves when I go to channel 2, then I want automated control.
It should, and if it doesn't, then it would be snapping. Then wherever it is, then you go to the channel and it would snap to there, and that wouldn't
snapshot. Yeah.
We'll see.
I want real. I want it to move like it's me moving it.
Sure.
All right, Dom. Convince me that Yamaha's worth checking out.
Hey my friends, today I'm extremely excited because Yamaha just came out with a product that blew me away. And it's this one. This is the CC1, and it's a controller that not only can control your DAW like Cubase, but this can also control many other things, many other applications, because as you can see, not only it has a fader, knobs, and all your transport buttons, but it also has full Stream Deck integration, and that changes everything. Let's talk about it. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I wasn't planning on making this video because, quite honestly, I'm down with a pretty bad cold, so I have big trouble even talking right now. However, I posted about this on my Instagram a few days ago, and the response from you guys was immense. I got so many messages, so many questions, so I thought, okay, I have to power through and make this video because I wanted to update you. This is going to be a preview video. That's not going to be a deep review, because this controller can do so much, and I will definitely need more time with it. And you know me, when it comes to controllers and pretty much everything else, I want to take my time, I want to try it out, I want to go deep so I can give you the best video and the best overview of what a device can do. This is my first thoughts after using this very briefly. The other thing I want to say is that this unit right here is a pre-production unit. I have tried really hard the past few days to get a production unit. I've tried all the retailers in the UK, either they're out of stock or where I've tried to order it from. In the end, they send me an email and they say, oh, actually it was out of stock, so that was a mistake on our website. But these are unicorns right now. They're sold out everywhere already. I can't believe it, but I'm gonna keep on trying. I've actually placed an order just before making this video. I hope it arrives. But anyway, this is the CC1, and as you can see, it has two sections. We have the usual kind of DAW controller section with your fader, your knobs, your big jog wheel, your transport, your channel controls, and all these things. Of course, we have an AI knob. I'm going to talk about this in a second. But then we also have this section right here, and this is pretty much a Stream Deck. Please excuse my voice. I hope I'm gonna make it through the entire video, but I think it's gonna be worth it, okay? So I'm very happy, as you can tell. The first thing that I want to talk about in this preview video is about the build quality. The build quality is stellar. The entire unit is metal, which means the top is metal, the sides are metal. It has this nice slant right here that allows you to see without having it, on a specific angle, even though it comes with a stand. So you can actually angle it if you want. The first thing that I found really impressive was the encoders. The encoders have no wobble. They're super solid, and they're also push encoders. This encoder right here is for the panning, and you can see how smooth it is. It's very, very smooth. It's very natural. And I'm saying it's smooth because sometimes I see on controllers, I can see a little bit of stepping. It's not a big deal, but this is extremely smooth. This is a very high quality fader. I can tell you straight away. I'm going to show you on my proper video when I do the review and I dive deep, but it's extremely quiet. Very fast, very responsive. I might be wrong, but this feels like the high-end faders that Yamaha uses for their consoles. It feels extremely high quality, but also it's touch sensitive, of course. I want to mention this, but you can also, if you see right here, I'm in the tools, you can even adjust the fader touch sensitivity. So we're talking about really advanced stuff here. You can calibrate the fader and all these things. I haven't tried any of these yet. Literally, this is, my first impressions. Obviously, I'm going to come into the Stream Deck stuff in a second. But you have all the usual suspects. You have mute, you have solo, you have your record enable button, your monitoring button, read automation. You can, of course, go through your channels like this. You can select your channels. And again, a question that I got from many of you is, does it follow the track selection in Cubase? And I can tell you straight away that yes, it does. So that's my first track. Let's go to the last one and maybe here, and you can see it updates straight away, as it should, as a controller should always do. But like I said on my Instagram stories when I showed you this is not something that I take for granted, because there are many controllers out there that don't actually do this and they don't update the channel selection. So let's see what else we have. Of course, we have our transport, play, stop, record, cycle right here. We have our jog wheel. If I activate it, you can see again, this is very, very smooth. Actually, let's go to this one. I have some automation here. You can see as I scroll, you can see the automation just moving right here. We also have the AI button here. I want to say this because I got some interesting comments on Instagram. This has nothing to do with AI. This is a feature that Steinberg has been using on its controllers for ages. Even the CC1 used to have this. Basically, what you can do with it is you can enable it, hover your mouse over a parameter, like let's say this fader, and then with the wheel right here, you can control this parameter that you have selected. And if you lock it, even if you move your fader away, you can still control that parameter, in this case, this fader. So if I go here, you will see that I'm controlling this fader right here. Super smooth, super nice. Now I want to move on to this section, because this section is what makes this controller special, and it's the most exciting thing for me as well, because as you know, I've been a massive Stream Deck user for many, many years, and for me this changes everything. Right here, I want to say that this video is not sponsored by anyone. It's not sponsored by Yamaha. They sent me the prototype to check out, but this is going back. But this video does have a sponsor, and this is me and my Ultimate Cubase Masterclass. Or if you are a Cubase user and you want to learn Cubase inside out, you have to check out my Ultimate Cubase Masterclass. It's an over 20 hours of material. I promise you, you will learn Cubase inside out, whether you're a producer, a composer, a beat maker, you're a mixing engineer, mastering engineer. I leave no stone unturned in this masterclass, so check it out, and this way you're also supporting the channel and learning Cubase at the same time. So thank you so much for this. Now let's move on. So let me show you what you can do to begin with. Let's hit play, and you can see straight away, I can see the metering for this particular channel in this first button. This is really cool, and I can only imagine what else is possible if you can actually see this kind of information right here on basically a Stream Deck button. I can open my channel settings like this. I can open my instrument. In this case, it's a Groove Agent SC6. Everything from here I can freeze if I want to. Let's hit stop. I can open my automation. I can enable, disable, insert, sense, EQ, and of course, I can control my sound effects. So let's go to my vocal, my omnivocal right here. You can see that I have a replica instance right there. I can just, again, control my sense right there. Now, if we move on to the second page, you can see we have the EQ right here, and you can see we have all the controls for the EQ. So if I push this encoder, I can activate it. I can add my EQ right there. If I go for my frequency, I can change my frequency, Q, like this. Let's go to this one. And again, you can see how quickly I can navigate through these different controls. The great thing is you can have this one control, for example, the Q, this one control the gain for this band, and this one to control the frequency for this band. So it's very customizable because you're working with these buttons right here. Let's move on to the next page, and here we have some interesting stuff. Here we can do our inverse EQing. As you can see right here, this is a feature in Cubase that you can actually activate. We can, of course, disable our EQ bands separately. In the next page, we have the quick control. So in this case, I'm controlling this plugin, this third-party plugin. I can change the settings right here. And of course, these are assignable, so you can assign them to anything you want. Next page, we have more stuff right here. So as you can see, I can open and close my mix console. I can zoom in vertically, horizontally, and I can even use my encoders to zoom in, or I can move my project around. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I will have to dive deep so I can tell you exactly how all these things are used. I'm going to show you a few more examples. You can bring up your core pads, you can activate your metronome like this. And when you go to the last page, this is basically a page that you can customize 100%, because that's pretty much a Stream Deck page. So as you can see, I've customized mine a little bit. You know, I didn't have much time, but for example, if I want to take all these channels that I have selected right here and add them all to a group, I can press this button, and there we go. Straight away, I can add them into a group. If I want to zoom into an event, let's say I want to zoom into this event, I can just press zoom event, and you can see I'm zooming into this event. If I press undo zoom, I can go back to the previous zoom state. I can open my control mixer, for example, and this, you can customize it exactly how you want. As you can see, there are already some options right there. You can actually turn your volume up and down on your Mac, in my case, but I'm sure this is going to work in the same way on Windows. You can do screen recording and so on and so forth, and you can move on to another page. Like I said, before I do a full review, I want to dive really deep into this because I see a lot of potential. I see many things that will be possible that were not possible with any controller previously. And of course, I'm planning to create my own templates here. This also has a pedal input in the back, which means if you want to start recording using a foot pedal, you can do this. And if I go to my control center, you can see we have the project control, we have MIDI compose, we have the Stream Deck link. This is really exciting stuff. So I'm going to tell you straight away, I'm going to be doing more stories on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it might be a good idea to do this now, because everything I discover when it comes to the CC1, I'm going to be posting there live, and I'm going to do it on my story, so you have a real-time view of what's going on with my journey with the CC1. So I'm going to do my best to get a production unit, because I want to make the proper review video on a proper production unit and not a pre-production unit. But let me know in the comments what you think about the CC1, if you think this is going to be a controller for you, and if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. If you want to support the channel, you can check out my instruments, my Modern 80s Kit Max, or if you're a Cubase user and you want to learn Cubase inside out, you can check out my Cubase Masterclass, where I show you everything you need to know so that you can become a Cubase ninja. Thank you so much, my friends. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Oh, I want to be a ninja.
Ninja time.
And that definitely looks like a controller where I would feel like a ninja. Some of the features that it does. I want him to have a production unit too, because I'm going to be watching him to see like in metal case, probably tough as hell.
It looks solid. Yeah.
Probably not going to be under $100, but man, if they could get it at 99, what a sweet spot price for a Stream Deck and a Surface controller per channel with all those pages on the Stream Deck side. I'm
Looks very
sold.
solid. Yeah. You want 3 of them. Get them 3 of them.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
and I want 3 because I want one for audio, I want one for video, and then I just want one to do what like the OBS integration with the Stream Deck. I will use all 3 for different actual functions.
nice. Get them set up all around. Maybe they'll support it and send them on to you. Let's find out.
Takes less space than a keyboard.
Absolutely. And again, has the functionality that you're looking for.
If they build the computer keyboard into that as well, like solve all the shit that I need to put on my desk in one good device, and I'll buy that.
Nice. For that, you could even get the little projected keyboard where it just projects it from a little camera onto the desk.
I like my tactical feedback though.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, how much typing would you actually be doing into a device like that? To me, it would be like you'd need a keyboard for certain things, but it wouldn't be like, the main interface that you'd be using.
Well, and even with these devices, there's tactical feedback. The good Surface controllers are starting to respond back to you. You can feel them. We looked at one that actually rumbled as you changed the knobs.
Nice. Yeah, I always like the rumble features from even the controllers from PlayStation days and all that.
Yeah, well, with mixing, like knowing you're hitting the peak levels because you feel it on the slider.
Yeah.
That's some cool new technology.
Yeah. Well, and even just seeing it on the button there on the Stream Deck, that was a surprise. Like seeing that actively and didn't look like there was a lot of latency there, but being able to see the actual levels on the button was pretty cool.
Well, the whole concept of the Stream Deck for me, I used to be a macro guy. I used to, it's just like bat files in beginning. Like, I don't want to have to type this a million times a day, so here's a bat file and macros to do certain things, launch a certain program. Now with Stream Decks, I can be changing my camera view on my OBS while I'm also like filling in a form and getting the information from a clipboard that I don't have to copy.
Sure. A lot of different cases.
Yeah. Surprised it's coming from Yamaha.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to love Yamaha. I want them to have a device that I buy and I swear by.
Yeah. And then no reason not to. I mean, they've got some good stuff for sure.
Yeah, but see, you're on the bass and guitar side where if you get one of them, you're not disappointed. My $1,200 digital Firewire mixer that didn't get drivers for Windows 7 because it was XP days pissed me off.
Unfortunate timing on that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And keyboards. I tried the Yamaha keyboards in the 90s, but Roland always kicked their ass.
Sure.
At Dom Segalis, I will be following I want you to get a production unit and I want to know.
Absolutely. And we'll see if they're sold out of around here.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that that's not as sometimes the Yamaha gear can be a DX7 at certain times in the 80s. Nobody could get them because everybody wanted them.
Exactly.
So for our last video, we're gonna it's gonna be kind of like the virtual AI agents in GarageBand, like that kind of concept. Except they say it's not MIDI and it's not audio. And the question I have then is, what is it?
Yeah. And it's not AI. That was the other thing you mentioned.
And it's not AI. how they integrate this in, I'm fascinated to learn, and it's coming from the company that makes Melodyne, Celemony.
Mhm.
They're the ones behind this product, and at Music Marketing TV, finally an official channel over on ours. I've been following them on mine. Tonight
Nice.
was a bunch of like my YouTubes that I
Mhm.
keep seeing these cool things that
Mhm.
just finally crossed over.
Nice. They made it to our channel.
Yes. So welcome at Music Marketing TV.
Mhm.
He's going to show us Tonalic. This could be another band in the box kind of situation with virtual musicians.
Nice. I like the idea.
The folks at Melodyne have been very busy and they have presented us with Tonalic. And I want to give you a quick rundown, like a speed session of what you can do with this thing. So let's get started right away. First off, you're going to click this to get rid of the help area. If you ever want it back, you just click it again. We are going to search for a Tonalic. We're going to go for guitar and a rhythm part. Now, these are the Tonalics. They are sessions with specific players, very famous musicians, and when you hit play, it'll play it. It's not MIDI and it's not audio. It takes the stuff the makers of Melodyne know about audio and applies it to like a whole session. And this gives you a whole bunch of crazy capabilities. So if we play this, this is the example. And these extra instruments we're hearing are from the preview panel. We can get rid of them if we don't want them. You click, you can see which ones are being added. That's one. Here's like a nice arpeggio, some chords. So you can come through, you pick something you like. I'm gonna go with this arpeggiation. I think it's pretty nice. We're gonna go ahead and put that on down. And this is where if you have ARA, you can navigate and it will navigate your session and it's fantastic. I'm in FL Studio, which currently doesn't support ARA. So I'm going to make a selection. And you see how this like gray bar just updated? So before it was going to loop only this like this little section. But now I can navigate, and as I move my cursor around, it moves. So I almost always have this open when I have plugins of this nature, because this isn't unique. This is just the way FL Studio works. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. Now it's quite fast. Let's put a tempo in like 98 and hear that. And let's go ahead and drag it out. Now this even just stuff like this is different than just looping. It's as if the musician was told to keep playing the part. So there are still these really small differences, but it more or less sounds like a loop. And this is what it sounds like. This is where things can start to get really crazy. So there's a variety of way to add chords, but I'm just going to add them the good old fashioned way. I'm holding Alt to duplicate them. So we've got C, let's go D minor, let's go A minor. You can hit Tab to auto advance if you want, and then G. And so the notes just updated. This would take a lot more effort, and it's specific notes. It's as if we just gave the musician new chords, like we're working with someone. That's what's so cool about this. So we now play it. That is so cool. Okay, so next, let's add another instrument. Let's add in another Tonalic. This is how quick it loads, by the way. It's very fast. It's loaded. This is an FL thing now. Okay, and let's go for searching. We will go for bass. And just to show you, by the way, because normally not that slow. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, there you go. It's quite a bit faster, so I don't know what the deal is. So we'll go for a bass, and if you hit play in here, it's gonna play with the preview guys. We want to hear it with our session. So if we go ahead and hit play here, it plays with our session. So let's say, okay, we want to go hunting for something kind of nice. Let's go for an upright bass, and let's see if we can't find something kind of nice. one's pretty good. I'm not being super picky right now because I want to show you what this can kind of do. So let's bring this in and bring it across. Now you'll notice the chords are not here. And this again is, if you have AR8, this will be a little bit different and a little bit smoother. But if I come back to my first instance and simply just grab them and move them, that'll tell all instances the chords have updated. So check this out. It is now there. The chords are there. So now it'll play the correct chords, and check this out. And it's aware of the other instances. So if we just go and click, we can see it and edit it and work from it from one instance. It just needs another instance to talk to the Tonalics for that particular instance. So now we can work from one window. So if we listen to this, check it out, that's what we have. So let's say at the end, we want something a little bit different. You can double click on a Tonalic to bring up things from the session. So let's say like, hey, let's go for this variation at the end. This one looks like kind of a good ending. We'll drag it on there and let's just jump to right there. And there you go. You've got yourself an upright bass line. I mean, it is, honestly, it's frankly terrifying how easy this is. It's like you brought in a musician, he said, hey, can you come up with a part? Here are the chords. And then away they go. It's amazing. There's been times I've brought drummers into sessions and I've been like beatboxing in the control room, being like, can you do something like that? And then they do it. It carries a very similar feeling. So next, let's add some drums. So I'm on the third instance here, nothing down here. Let's go in and let's look for some drums. We're going to get rid of these. We are going to go over to drums. There's also a whole slew of additional stuff in here, by the way. And let's preview it with what we have. Maybe this one. We'll go for this one. So we'll drag this on. We will loop it out. And then on the fourth one, I'm going to double click. Let's grab a variation. Let's grab this one. It's got that nice sustained on the top. I think it's like a cymbal. Let's see. Yeah, why not? You can also remove things like cymbals and so forth if you want to. So this is like the first layer. There's additional layers. There's so many more things you can do. I want to point out one other like really crazy thing. Let's say that on this bass line, I want it to go down instead of up. Well, this is where you find out that they basically have Melodyne built into every Tonalic. So if I click on the refine, you have tools that are very reminiscent of Melodyne. And one of them is the pitch tool. I'm holding Alt to scroll, Shift to scroll left and right, and Alt to zoom, I should say. And keep in mind, I'm doing this from the drum window. I'm editing the bass part. So once you have your parts going, you don't need to do very much jumping between windows. You could stay in one. Multi-instance, man, is the way of the future. So this one comes up and it hits this high D. We're playing a G. So why don't we have it come down and just hit that G again? Why not? Or maybe some sort of an up thing. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's see what we got. Yeah, sure, why not? You can go in and change up notes. If something is repeating too much or you want to alter something, you can do it. You can edit the amplitude, the volume in general, I mean, shaping phrases. It is truly crazy some of the levels of detail you can reach very quickly. I do also want to mention that there are guide tracks. So if you have a groove that you want to be matched to, you can have it follow it. Something that's also a total pain to try and do with just a straight up loop. In many ways, I think they've definitely reached the goal of feeling more like you're working with a session player than with a loop library. So that's a really fast look at Tonalics, but hopefully you get the idea of how quickly you can get up and running, how easy it is to integrate with other things that you already have going on in your track, especially if you've already got a chord track at the top. You can literally just drag and drop it in and it'll just do it. If you have any questions, let me know down below. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos, and have a blessed
Oh, it's like they brought a Glen in with a stand-up bass.
Exactly. Exactly. Hey, they have one at the Bethlehem Public Library that I can use.
Yeah, I saw a picture of you with that.
It's a good one.
And that was quick to start up.
Yeah.
The interface, everything looks very familiar to me because I
Mhm.
am comfortable with Melodyne.
Yep.
And now I think I understand why they say it's not MIDI and it's not audio.
Mhm.
Melodyne is a weird hybrid of both. The way that it deals with audio and stretching and tuning
Mhm.
is a lot like MIDI, and that's why with the Melodyne product, it converts a lot of audio to MIDI very accurately.
I mean, for speed on songwriting, I mean, right there, just being able to throw those couple things in there and have, a bass, guitar, and drum part come together just like that. I mean, that's
And be able to think of it from like a chording perspective. Like I
yep.
want this chord, this chord, this chord, and this chord.
And if you wanted to reprogram it, you'd say, I don't really like those chords anymore. I change it right there. Like you're done. It
Or
takes
you
2 seconds.
wanna inject that melodic seventh
Yeah, yeah.
strategically.
Well, like those variations for the endings too. That makes it also a lot more human in what it sounds like because it's not just that same loop repeating, repeating, repeating. You can have different variations that you bring in at different times.
Yeah, yeah, the arpeggiating approach when he started, that remind me of, you remember Strum, that
Mhm,
guitar night
mhm.
we had where we were
Sure.
looking at virtual guitarists?
Yeah.
Um, that reminded me of that Strum kind of, software and approach where they're not using big samples of sounds.
Mhm,
They create the actual guitar sound very simple, not demanding on the CPU,
mhm,
and the arpeggiating pattern or the strumming pattern to get a natural sounding guitar
mhm.
is like magic.
Yeah, it is. And it sounds like magic too. I mean, it sounds great.
It sounds like I actually had a guitarist come in and listen to me as I said, play these chords.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's the beauty of it. It's that fast to be able to get parts added into your stuff.
Yeah. I feel like for Celemony, this is not just a competitor to say something like Band in the Box.
Mhm,
This is also a competitor to Easy Drummer,
mhm,
Easy Piano, the Tune Tracks products. This kind of goes into a bunch of different territories on one plugin.
mhm. Exactly. Covers a lot of ground.
And if it does have like AI or like personality driven musicians,
Mhm.
I like that idea with all these products. Like
Yeah.
every one of these products should get some personality.
Yeah, and even if it's not, an actual personality of what they're doing, I mean, it's a good way to just quickly identify, what you're looking for, upright bass player or rock bass player or, metal bass player, like just being able to go with a specific category and have a couple of choices and say, that guy, let's see what he sounds like.
Yeah, if I'm gonna get a guitarist and his name is Slash, then I'm gonna have some expectations.
Exactly. He better know how to play.
Or don't call him Slash.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, or you can call him Flash.
Yeah, but then I expect speed metal.
There you go. Perfect.
It's all about identifying.
Mhm. Identifying what you're looking for.
Yep. So at Music Marketing TV, bunch of musicians and producers who get together to talk about software and gear.
Mhm.
Sounds like people I know.
Exactly. Who sounds like that?
Yeah, that was good.
Nice.
Good collection on all of them tonight.
Mhm.
And I've got one more thing
Mhm.
to show a little preview of the movie that we finished that is going to be coming out. Uh, I guess I don't have to say the date because it's going to be in this preview here. So,
Mhm.
um, but it's coming soon, and this is one that I put a lot of work into.
Mhm.
I think I'm happy with it.
Excellent. It's ready.
Yes, and Ange put a lot of work into this too. The narrating superstar, kind of our
Nice.
keeper in this.
Nice.
So here's a trailer and a preview for Georgie's return. Over the next couple of weekends, we've got a few more teasers to come out, but this is what we've got so far.
Right.
And before we go into it, our AI, is it a tool or a takeover? It's coming.
It's coming.
For you.
Mm-hmm.
Good day, Indianapolis. This is Angified Presents from the WANG network. "68 years ago, 7 kids in a small town faced something no child should ever see, a creature older than stories, older than fear itself. It took their friend Georgie first, and it didn't stop there. Those 7 kids, the losers, they stood together. They fought back, and 27 years later, as adults, they've returned to finish what began in the rain-soaked streets the day Georgie died. They defeated the entity, or so they believe. So now my question to you is, have you read the book? Then you know what comes next. "68 years ago, 7 kids in a small town faced something no child should ever see, a creature older than stories, older than fear itself. It took their friend Georgie first, and it didn't stop there. Those 7 kids, the losers, they stood together. They fought back, and 27 years later, as adults, they've returned to finish what began in the rain-soaked streets the day Georgie died. They defeated the entity, or so they believe. Here's the thing about ancient horrors. They don't stay gone. And neither, it seems, does Georgie. A shadow in the storm drain. A voice whispering, you'll float too. A yellow raincoat where no child should be. Somehow, impossibly, he's come back. And it ain't clowning around.
Georgie's clowns are here.
So now my question to you is, have you read the book? Then you know what comes next. And this time, it's Georgie's return.
Georgie's in charge now.
Oh. Well, Angie's in charge, but Georgie is going to temporarily take over next month.
That's right. It'll be Georgie's month.
Yeah. A lot of work into this one.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of effort went into that for sure. You guys have been working on that for a while now, right?
I started at the middle of, well, he started the filming at the beginning of the year. I started the editing in the middle.
Yep.
And now it's next year.
Exactly. Just like that. Very nice. Well done.
So we'll get some more teasers in the next couple of weeks. And on March 2nd,
That's what I saw.
He's getting a birthday surprise.
Nice, nice. Good stuff.
Yeah. So stay tuned.
Absolutely.
We'll be back next Thursday with some more tunes.
Yep. Every time. Right here.
Right now.
On Thursday night.
Well, back in my day, we talked every night.
Yeah. Both ways, uphill.
And it's definitely a blizzard. It's coming.
It's coming for sure. But I got a couple of days still, so I got time to go get some groceries or go see the empty shelves. It's always good to see.
All of you in the vicinity, take care during that. Don't travel when you don't need to. And we'll see you next Thursday.
Yep. Have your warm jackets and gloves and everything ready.
We cover digital audio workstations and music tools. We explore theory, gear, and 82. How to arrange, compose, and the art of arranging. Taking a look at AI and how the times have changed. On a PC or a Mac and even with a mobile device, we'll be talking about it all every Thursday night. From software to plugins and synths that entice. Dive deep into tech and let creativity take flight. Talkin IT. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. From bedroom producers to seasoned pros, we're breaking it down so knowledge grows. Whether you're a DJ or a beat making wizard, we got the tips and tricks to make your sound sizzle. Mixing and mastering, that's our jam. With the tutorials and tips on how much RAM. Get the best quality from your setup and gear. Tune in every week and lend us your ear. We're talking IT. Come and join in and have some fun. It's highly educational with a lot to learn. We're talking